Let's welcome in now Florida Congresswoman Cammack. She is a member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. Congresswoman, great to have you with us.
Hey, good to see you, John.
Well, this is a little interesting wrinkle in the plans for the reconciliation bill. Now tell us about these tax credits and why Republicans are willing to try and save them.
Well, I was not one of the 21 Republicans that signed the letter asking to save provisions of the IRA. Keep in mind, I railed against the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which even Bernie Sanders said did nothing to reduce inflation. And it's very rare that you'll find Bernie and I on the same side of something. But this supposed $900 billion package we knew was going to cost far more, and in fact has been projected to cost upwards to $5 trillion with a T. I couldn't agree more with my colleagues, Senator Mike Lee and Representative Chip Roy. This is a boondoggle. If we are going to invest in America First policies, they need to be rooted in free market principles, and we need to get away from the subsidization of these different projects. And as far as the 21 colleagues that we have, listen, I feel for you. But the reason that they're signing on to this letter is because they have projects in their district that they are now getting subsidized by taxpayers from around the country. This is the exact same reason that I don't do earmarks.
Yes.
Why should my constituents from Florida have to pay for a walking trail in Georgia or a community park in San Francisco? It's nonsense. We should get away from the earmarks, and that's effectively what these projects are. It has to be America First. It has to make sense, and it has to be viable in the free market space.
Yeah, and when you shrink the federal government, you can return this tax money to the people of Georgia. And if they want to build a walking trail, they can build a walking trail, and the people of Florida don't have to pay for the walking trail. And the other thing, too, and we will talk about this until the cows come home, but the REINS Act and the things that you propose, like, these are the types of things that all members of Congress should have to tack outside their office and say, these are the subsidies that I'm bringing into my district. Now, some people are just, that's what their district expects. But again, we shouldn't have to pay in Florida for what they're doing in Georgia. And I lived in Georgia for a long time, but we'll leave that alone now. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's talk about something else I know you're interested too, and that is the effort to deport this Columbia University student Mahmoud Khalil. The Trump administration has given Columbia until the end of the day to make several changes. I mean, this seems like common sense, and if these institutions cannot control what happens on campus, again, why should we in Florida be giving tax credits to a place like Columbia, which has a massive endowment like many of these other Ivy League schools?
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking about this the other day, where we have foreigners who, upon entering our country, if they share or harbor any sentiments that are pro-terrorist, especially against groups that have been officially labeled domestic or foreign terror organizations, they are not permitted to enter into the country. And so this gentleman, he entered on a student visa. It is a privilege to study here in the United States. It is not protected by the Constitution under a student visa. You are not here as an immigrant, and you're here to study. If you have those sentiments and you are protesting the very country that has allowed you the privileges to study in the United States, that is under the full jurisdiction of the United States State Department and the president to revoke said visa. Now, I know that we can get into a further conversation about legal permanent residents, green card holders, et cetera, but let's not forget, he came here on a student visa. And for many of the students that are on campus on these visas that are protesting the very country that has welcomed them with open arms, they are now becoming foot soldiers for these terror organizations. These are terrorist sympathizers. They have no place in our country, and I fully support the president and Secretary Rubio in revoking their visas and sending them back.
Yeah, we've been talking about these protests, the Tesla protests as well. We have a new sheriff in town with Pam Bondi, the AG, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino at the FBI. We're seeing actions like this one where they're trying to deport these terrorist sympathizers. Congressman, do you think it's going to have that chilling effect, though, on these protests? Because my concern, and I've been talking about this a lot, is that the summer of 2025 is going to look a lot like the summer of 2020.
You know, as a constitutional conservative and quite frankly, the co-founder of the Campus Free Speech Caucus, I have spoken at length about why it's so important that we protect our constitutional rights. So for law-abiding American citizens who want to peacefully assemble or have the right to free speech, we need to protect that at all costs. These individuals are inciting violence. Your rights end when you start infringing on someone else's. And these protests are rooted in conspiracy to commit violence, conspiracy to commit crimes. In many cases, they are committing acts of terror on campuses, harassing our Israeli and Jewish students. This cannot stand. And I think it's going to continue to amp up unless we have a full crackdown on these types of individuals. I remember so vividly in Kenosha, the mostly peaceful but fiery cry-on that was the line for CNN. What a joke. This is why we have an overwhelming mandate from the American people. They are sick and tired of being fed a line of BS that these are somehow okay, that they're somehow justified. Violence is never justified. So President Trump, he will not tolerate it.
And isn't it amazing, too,
Neither will
Congresswoman, that only one of your colleagues, one of your Democratic colleagues, Ro Khanna, has condemned the acts of violence against Tesla owners and cars and dealerships and facilities? Just one. That's the. I looked all day today, could only find Ro Khanna.
Well, you know, John, if it weren't for double standards, there would be no standards at all when it comes to my friends on the other side of the aisle. I commend my friend Roe for actually speaking out. But the fact remains is that it is always a double standard. When October 7th happened and Jewish women were brutalized, horribly raped, there was zero of the women's groups coming out and condemning it. That, to me, spoke volumes about the hypocrisy that is the undercurrent and, quite frankly, the backbone of many of these organizations. It is always about their political agenda by any means necessary. They don't care about the morality or what's right or wrong. It's always about the means will justify the end.
Yeah, it's sad. And so many, I think, of your colleagues are contributing to that type of mindset. And the saddest part about it is they're useful idiots in that game. They don't even know they're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. Congressman Kat Cammack, always great to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John. Good to see you.